Alrighty, Lumberjacks, welcome back. And today we are going to be going over the 1.12 update. So this is the newest mod update. So I figured we'd get to the fun stuff first. So two new mods. We have the Hitachi 240, and we also have the Tigercat 822. These were super popular machines back in FS19. I've had a lot of requests to bring them back, so they are all completed and ready to party. Like I said, the Hitachi 240 is a high cab loader type machine. You can swap the grapple for whatever you want. I just threw a button top on there, or a button top head on there. But yeah, no, it's a beautiful little machine. It was, like I said, a very popular one in FS19. The cab, very similar to the way it was set up before. Nice and tight, really easy to see. It's good visibility, and it's also got probably better visibility of your main arm than some of the other ones. Really good reach. It's one of my more fun machines for sure, but I know there was a lot of requests to have this bad boy brought back, so here she is. Again, it's about the same as some of the other high cab machines. Might sit a little bit higher than the other ones. The 822, another popular favorite. This guy is really fun because it's a smaller design, smaller base. You can get into some pretty tight places with it, and yeah, it matches up really nice with this Pro Pack head. So again, nice little tiny cab, really actually cozy. That was the words that some of our previous buncher operators used to say. Very cozy little cab. You sit really close to the ground, which is nice. So if you're going in for kind of tighter tree grabs and stuff, you have a really good view of the base of the tree when you're doing your cutting, which is nice. Some of the higher cabbed bunchers, some people say they have a tendency not to be able to level up their cuts as well. So this one's actually really nice because you're sitting quite low with the ground. Again, this is an attachable head, so you can put whatever you want on there. You can put grapples or whatever the heck. Primarily, in reality, these things are usually used with buncher heads or processors sometimes, but like I said, sky's the limit with you guys. You can put on whatever you want. So as for updates, I'm just going to go over. There's quite a few little changes and stuff, but all for the better. So all the track machines have a teeny bit more weight than they did in the last update. Not an extreme amount change, but they're definitely a lot more sturdy when you're on the ground and stuff. So I'm actually going to tab to a machine here. So this is our Tigercat 880. So previously they were really bouncy. And I mean, some of it was a little bit realistic, but some people sent me some videos actually and pointed out the true weights of some of these things. So we've added a bit more weight. So for instance, before I wasn't really able to pick these up and hold them out very far because the machine would start to tip right away. So even at that distance away from the machine, it was getting really tippy. That being said, if you extend all the way out and you start waving them around, you're still going to get a little bit of a jumpy tip kind of feeling, but that's probably a little more realistic to some of the videos. And thank you to Casey, who sent me a video, his own video, of him running a Tigercat 880. He was also on a site where they were using a lot of long logs, and he was chucking them around. And he was trying to point out how the counterweight on that thing was actually extremely heavy. So he was able to he could put his boom really far out with a full length of longs, and it wouldn't tip the machine over. So that being said, on real life machines, as I've discussed in other logging crew episodes, so generally on these high cab machines, in this back end where the counterweight is, this little section here in real life is usually filled with something. So you'd throw bits of steel, you'd throw sand, concrete, whatever, to put weight on the back end. So every machine is a little bit different for what's in the back end and the weight components that are on it. So yeah, just a heads up on that. So some real life videos, you'll see these machines bouncing around like crazy, and then some videos they look like they're not moving at all, and that really does depend what you put in the counterweight. So these guys, like I said, are a lot heavier now. Well, not a lot heavier. They're just a lot more sturdy now. I also changed a little bit of the suspension on the tracks as well to make them so they're not so crazy. You'll find that when you're bunching with these machines now, too, they're not as wacky as they were before. Some of them were a little bit tipsy. They're quite sturdy now when you're doing your drops and stuff. I'm just going to try to grab a really... Oh, this is a pretty big tree here. So again, like real life, if you wave the tree around like a madman, you're probably going to get some bounce and stuff. So if I just go tip it, you're going to get a little bit of wiggle, right? But for the most part, it's actually pretty sturdy. Like I said, if you really whip it around violently, the tree's gonna kind of whop you around a bit, but nowhere near as bad as the last update. Now you're gonna find it settles a lot nicer. So I'm just gonna grab one more here just for good fun. And again, like I said, you can put them down, drop them pretty good without this thing getting all whacked around. So another change is the suspension on the tracks. Actually, while we're here, I'm just gonna go over one more. So the Tigercat 880 has changed its width a little bit. So another guy, actually same guy, Casey, he mentioned that the Tigercat was a little bit wider than it is in real life. So prior to this update, the back end of this machine was actually really fat. Like it had a really big caboose on it. So I've actually narrowed the whole model tighter together so that the back end isn't so bulgy. Because he said it was just like probably a foot off and it was too bulgy. And I agreed because I saw some pictures of it and it didn't look right. So now you'll notice the cab's a little bit sleeker width-wise. It's a very small change, but to some people that actually run these machines, it does matter. So that's been changed. So the other thing that I was going to go over was the suspension systems. So I had some people mentioning that they were having troubles trekking around on terrain with these tracks. They said that sometimes you'd get into weird spots and they would slip. It was like you were driving on ice and they would slip and slide around. So after some experimenting, I didn't find it happening a lot to me, but I did find some areas where it did do it on really sharp, weird terrain. So what I found out was basically what's going on is there's a whole bunch of wheels on this thing. So I'll switch to this view. I don't know, you probably can't see them very well in that view. Oh, there you go. You can kind of see them here. So you see all those little individual circles? Those are all little wheels that are basically running together as you're going. So I previously only had the front, the middle, and the rear as actual drive tires. So like the axles would spin together and it would turn as a drive tire. All these other tires didn't actually have any power to them. They would just roll as the tires dragged you. And I think that's what was causing the hang-ups, because what happened was if you would drive up onto a sharp point, if those main drive tires weren't touching any of the point, these ones would just spin and they wouldn't make any contact because there was no power to them, right? So what I've done in this update is I've made it so every single one of these tires has power to it and has its own drive motor. So every single one of these, no matter what terrain you're on, will be able to trek up. In turn, it treks a lot better. In some cases, it might be a little unrealistic. If you drive up on a point, it might drive a little too good. I'm just gonna transport us over here real quick. Oops, I almost drowned it. We missed the water. We're good. Oops, and we dropped our grapple off. You know what? We don't need our grapple though. We're just gonna leave it there. Bye, grapple. Because this is all about the tires, not the grapple. So, for instance, if you were driving up a hill like this one, and I did lots of tests with the last update and the last mods, what would happen is you would drive up this hill, and as soon as you hit a sharp point, you would just start spinning, and you'd just sit there and spin all day, and that's no good at all. Because then you can't climb the points. I mean, eventually you could probably move your grapple around to find it. So for instance, see how this terrain's pretty sharp? I'll just try to get a little closer here. See how it's kind of like really sharp and nubby looking? Like the terrain's really kind of weird and not really even. So what would happen is you would drive up on this chunk like this, and I'm going to switch to physics view. So what would happen is you would drive up on that bit, and the problem is these tires wouldn't actually touch the ground like the main drive tires. So you get up to this top piece, and then you just sit here and spin. That's basically what would happen. You wouldn't be able to go anywhere. But now that there's power to all tires, if I hold down the go button, it never stops. It'll just keep moving. Because no matter what tire hits that little sharp point, it keeps rolling. So now, like I said, some of it might be a little unrealistic, because sometimes you're going to get into a weird spot where you're like driving up the tip of a rock or something, and it's still going to keep going. Like, I've basically made it so these things can just go anywhere all the time now, which might not be 100% realistic, but now you guys won't have problems trekking around. Because like I said, see, now it's going over all that really rough terrain. and it's got no problem. You could probably park right on that terrain, and you could still back up and still drive around. But that issue now with the slipping on terrain and feels like you're driving on ice shouldn't have that issue ever again. That is a destroyed feeling. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So that's we went over that. Let's go. Let's go to the truck. Maybe we'll do that. Oh, actually, while we're here, the tree grinder. We'll do that. So in the previous version, this grinder and the digging bucket, like the ripper bucket, I had accidentally made the weights on them extremely low compared to the machines. So what would happen is when you pushed your head down into the ground, it would actually cause the machine to bounce, like it would jump, because what was happening was the weight of the machine was pushing on the attachment joint, but the attachment itself was too light. So what would happen is it would go ga-boing, 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 and it did that with the digging bucket and with this forestry grinder. So now the weights of the forestry grinder and that ripper digging bucket has been increased so that they kind of play together nice. So now you can literally like lift your whole machine up in the air and, you know, have it balance on that without it jumping and acting all crazy. So anyway, that was one little simple fix. What else we got here? I think that's pretty much the main gist of that. So we'll go to the low bed now. That was the big change. The low bed I already went over in that Giants update that I was talking about, but we'll go over it again here real quick. So the low bed now has been reconfigured. I fixed this back end because, well, one, the tires weren't touching the ground properly, and now they are. They're still a little weird, but not as bad. I fixed it so that that back end tail isn't going to hit the ground like it was as much. It kind of still has to a little bit, but I'll tell you guys why the trailer has changed and is the way it is. So there's a really weird glitch with this game, and some of you have had it with the skidders. So if you buy the truck and the trailer before you buy one of the machines, what happens is, for whatever reason, the contact points, like the base of this trailer, doesn't actually read the friction on the tires. And I don't know why. I have no idea. This is some weird Giants thing, and I don't understand. So what will happen is sometimes you'll drive onto the trailer, and it'll just sit there and spin as if there's no friction at all. Even though the friction of the tires is like 1,000%, it'll act like you're just spinning. So what I had to do is I had to lower the back end of this trailer as low as humanly possible so that you could still drive onto it when that happens. So there's two ways you can fix this. You can either buy your machines first and then always buy this last, or you can just kind of work your way onto the trailer. So for instance, if I reload this machine, with the new tracks, it might just go up there, but sometimes it still hangs up, and I'm going to see if I can demonstrate why it does that. And this is just a weird glitch. The only way to fix it is usually resetting your truck and trailer. So I'm going to try to get it stuck. Yeah, okay, so there's a good instance. See how it's like, it's acting as if there's nothing there, like it's just slipping? So if that's happening, I just kind of go like this and push it down, and then I just walk forward a little bit. And then once you get to a little bit ahead, you're usually fine. And I don't know why it does that. The only other way, so for instance, I'm going to do this again. I just want to show you guys this isn't like our mods issue. It's just, I don't know why. So again, you go forward, it's pushing it, right? Now watch this. If I reload the truck and trailer, whoop. So this has all been reloaded now. So now it's acting as if I bought this last. So now when I drive on, see, no problem. Doesn't hang up. I don't know why. I have no idea. It doesn't make any sense at all. But now it acts as if it's just a normal trailer. So it's some kind of weird glitch with the giant stuff trying to read the other I don't know. Anyway, so if you buy this first, your truck and trailer, you can either reset it at the end, or you can just lift yourself up at that little bit if you find you're getting stuck. Sometimes these machines will drive right on like it's no problem. Then other times, if they hang up a little bit, just lift yourself up a tiny bit and drive on. Super annoying, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. So with this change, the updated version of Giants and the updated version of Farming Simulator, I have returned the locking straps back to the trailers, as I discussed in that other video. So I'm going to close my ramp on the back there. So if you hit L, the locking straps now function on this thing. So you get 1, 2, 3 in the middle. Now, as you can see, if you turn this machine on, you can still drive forward, and then it gives up. It'll start slipping, and you can drive backwards a little bit, and it'll start slipping. So there's still some give there in the locking straps, but what I believe they have done is they've removed the ability for the locking straps to go up and down and from side to side. So you can still move forward and backward on the trailer a little bit, but I think they've just fixed it so that they don't suck everything down into the base of the trailer, which is good for us because now we can actually lock all these machines to the trailers and you can drive around with them locked and they shouldn't go anywhere. Okay, so the other big change was with this truck. So some people were complaining that when you're driving down the road, as soon as you took your foot off the gas, it would come to an instant stop. And they were right. That was an issue. So I was able to reconfigure the gearboxes on these machines a little bit. So now if I release, it's going to slow down a little bit, usually, like if you're on flat, but you actually have to use your brake. Like holding down my brake, you can see in the bottom right my speed slowing down. Again, we're carrying a very heavy payload, so you're not going to come to an instant stop. So again, you can accelerate. But now, if I'm going down the hill, I'm going to take my fingers off the gas. So you see how it continues to accelerate? Going, going, going. So you actually have to use your brake to control it a little bit. But it stays coasting now. It doesn't come to a complete stop. And that was just my own fault setting the gearbox wrong. So like I said, I'm not doing anything. I'm just... Fingers are off the controls. All I'm doing is steering. I have no gas, no brake. As you can see in the bottom right, my speed is going up because we're basically in neutral right now, just coasting. But you can apply your brake to slow right down. Again, it takes a minute because it's a heavy payload. Or you can hit gas and speed it back up again. And same difference. Like I said, I'm going to get us down to a flat spot so I can show you. So in real life, if you've ever driven a vehicle in your life, if you take your foot off the gas, your vehicle will, if you're on a flat plane or a medium plane or even a hill, it will start to slow down on its own. So I'm going to get down, just going to get down to this corner here. Let's go right here. Okay, so let's go to a complete stop here. So like I said, in real life, your transmission will kind of slow you down a little bit. If you take your foot off the gas, it starts to kind of go down a bit. So I'm on a flat plane right now. We're doing about 40 kilometers an hour. If I take my foot off of the gas, so release, it'll start to slow down very gradually, kind of like real life, right? And then I can apply more gas, and it'll gradually go back up. Release, goes down really slowly. Or I can just hammer on the brakes, and it'll bring it right down, right? So that being said, that's now been changed on it. So for the people who are mentioning that it's not proper, you are absolutely correct. It was not proper. So now you'll find when you're driving the truck and trailer, it's a lot easier to coast around corners and slow down and, you know, control the overall speed of the truck while you're hauling. That was one major thing. And I totally agree. It was an issue and it is solved. So that's good. Okay, so the truck and trailer, those should be a lot better to haul with. The trailer is still got a little bit of an issue on the back with that, but as you saw, there is ways to get around that, so hopefully that'll work out for you. Being able to lock down the skidders and the Timber Pro forwarder and stuff, that is also really nice, because before you couldn't lock them down, they would glitch right out. So everything is now lockable on these trailers, and the locking straps work really well. Two more things. One thing, I got rid of the lampposts. The lampposts are now over there where they belong, away from this place. So I don't know how many times you guys have probably countlessly watched me do login rants and freak out about having those stupid lampposts there. So those are gone on Lumberjack's Paradise because those were just brutal. So those are gone. And the only other thing, final, is the manual cut mod is now no longer included in the pack, because it is no longer needed. Bargain Mods had allowed me to use that manual cut mod and include it with the FDR Logging equipment pack. But now, if you hit escape and go down to that little cog icon, this little bolty looking thing, you can scroll down and you can actually disable wood harvester cutting automatically. So Giants has added this as a feature in the game. Unfortunately, they have made it so that you can't cut. I went over this in a previous video when I was talking about the update. So now when you go to do a cut, which I'm very 50-50 on. So now instead of actually cutting the tree, so if I wanted to cut the tree, it doesn't actually cut now. It'll make the sound and it runs it to the end. So it's good and bad, as I explained. I just did that cut because I changed cut lengths. But yeah, now it does a find end instead of cutting the tree, which again, the one bonus is for performance, looking at it from that perspective, is you're not going to leave these little ends on the ground anymore. This won't be a thing because now you can't even cut the tree to leave those ends. So if I wanted to cut it, it'll actually just run it back to the end now. So, I mean, it'll guarantee that you never leave an end on the ground, which that's positive, I guess. Again, the negative part is you'll never be able to manually cut your ends anymore, which is kind of dumb. But anyway, I can argue all day, but it don't really matter. That's just the way it is right now. So, those are the major big changes. I think you guys will be pretty happy with the update. It fixes most of the stuff that people complained about from the last one. But other than that, everybody's been really happy with the new weight changes going back to kind of go back to stock again compared to what they were. So, yeah, if anything comes up or you guys notice anything weird or out of the normal, just either leave a comment in this video or you can shoot me an email at fdrlogging@hotmail.com. All right, guys. Well, enjoy the update, and we will catch you on the next one. See ya.